This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance on the Central Coast. Today we are joined by Debbie Arnold. She is a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo County. And when we look at the homeless population, which has become an issue in the news, it's really stunning to consider that while California has 12% of the entire nation's population, 21% of all homeless in our nation are living in our state. It's very sad.
It is, and I think the warm climate has a little bit to do with that, of course.
Sure.
But it is an issue that really needs more attention.
And what's surprising in some ways is that the homeless population in some of our largest counties in the state, Los Angeles, San Diego, growing. And you would have thought with the economy improving that homeless numbers would drop in those areas, but they're not.
Again, I think,
Right.
in its demographics, and
Right.
and we know there are pockets of the country where the employment
Right, that's
is
true.
struggling, and those kinds of things that create homelessness.
But let's focus on San Luis Obispo County, because
We
there
have
is
some
some
good news.
very good news coming
Yeah.
out of San Luis Obispo County. Every 2 years there's a homeless cow. Could you explain that?
Yes, so there is a census taken,
Right.
a homeless population census taken in this county every 2 years.
Right.
And we had some great numbers this time. Homelessness in San Luis Obispo County appears to have decreased in 2015 compared to 2013, according to this point in time count by our county's Homeless
Right.
Oversight Council, 31%.
31% in 2 years.
In 2 years, and then even better news, the number of homeless veterans appears to have decreased by 45%.
And I want to break out those two items, because on so many levels it is so gratifying to see and hear that those numbers are dropping. SLO saw a spike in homelessness, and as I understand it, that spike occurred maybe 5-6 years ago after Oprah Winfrey called San Luis Obispo the happiest place in North America. And all of a sudden, people are flooding into San Luis Obispo County.
right.
Both people who want a wonderful life and are looking for a better life, and that caused a bit of a spike. But we've seen those numbers shift a bit.
We've seen the numbers shift, and this is my 4th year on the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
When I was first elected, so over 3 years ago, I was assigned to work with the
Right.
Homeless Services Oversight Council. I've been the chair consistently this is my 4th year. And at that time, the county had created a 10-year plan to end
Right,
homelessness.
yes.
And we have a lot of great providers, but I mean, it's a tough nut to crack, right? But I credit at least partly these good numbers to some new programs that were started in the county.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and let's talk about that, because some of the new programs have apparently been very effective. There's a program, it's called the 50 Now program for chronically homeless. The CalWorks program, it's a support program providing rapid rehousing assistance.
Right.
Supportive service programs. I mean, you really are looking to attack the problem in a very direct, specific way.
And with result-oriented programs. So I was particularly attracted to the 50 Now program
Right.
when it was introduced to us. And I have to say, I'm going to give a shout out to Laurel Ware, who came to our county the same time I came on
Right.
board, and had a lot of experience all over the nation and knew about this program. This is it's a Housing First program.
Right.
And to date, the housing was given to folks that could clean up their act, become clean and sober, stop using drugs, and then you can have a house. But this is a different kind of program. First, it identifies the most vulnerable. The statistics I was seeing was 10% of the homeless population use 90% of the societal resources. In other words, they're taken to the emergency room more often, they're being arrested more often. 10% of the homeless population, and these are the most vulnerable, the oldest, that are having a hard time struggling with that lifestyle. They're older now, or they're getting sick, and identify those first, remove them if you can by providing them housing, stabilizing them with housing, bringing the services to them, wrap them around with the services they need, And the results are showing that this appears to be working.
And I really want to drill down on this housing first approach because it is controversial.
It is.
As you described, with many housing programs, the minute you walk in, they're drug testing you, they're making sure you're clean and sober. And while that may be the ultimate goal, if someone fails that initial drug test, they're back out on the street. And so where do we begin?
Exactly.
And so are you a proponent of housing first, or at least are you seeing the results?
I'm very happy with it. And you know what made me want to at least explore this program and try this program is think about that. If you have a drug or alcohol problem and you're homeless and you go to a shelter at night and have dinner and you can sleep in the shelter, but in the morning you're back in the creek, and now what are you doing? You're probably resorting to the drugs and alcohol, and it's a vicious cycle.
Can we talk about the creek?
Sure.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
When we think about San Luis Obispo City,
yes,
beautiful Higuera, the mission right there, and right through downtown San Luis Obispo is a beautiful creek.
Yes.
I've gone there with my daughters, but I've seen homeless people there, and it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Makes my daughters cry.
Yeah.
It's raining. We're facing El Nino.
Yep.
And so what are you doing to protect these folks who've been using beautiful San Luis Obispo creeks in a drought as their home? It could flood.
It's another reason I was really happy to see these numbers. And we have had 4 years of drought and relatively mild weather. And now this winter here we're seeing a more normal winter. We're having cold weather,
Right.
and now we're having rainy weather,
Right.
and we're predicted to have more of that.
Of course.
And so for the first time in a few years, the conditions are going to be a little bit different. So to know that we have some of the, of our sickest, most
Right.
vulnerable homeless folks out of that environment.
Right. So is the county going to the creeks to have these folks come?
Exactly.
And are they being responsive?
Yeah. Well, yes.
They are being
The
responsive.
results have been very good.
I must ask about our veterans because, look, every homeless person can tug at the heartstrings. But I know when I see someone holding up a sign saying, "I fought in Vietnam, can you help me?" It's
Yep.
even more
We
heartbreaking.
need to take care of them.
In San Luis Obispo, apparently you are.
We're trying. And
45% drop in 2 years of homeless veterans. 45%.
Yep.
Those numbers are stunning.
And again, it's a combination of programs, and our Veterans Services office here in the county works very hard in conjunction with our homeless services folks, and we're trying to do the best we can.
And
but
as I understand it, the authority has issued information as to why they believe some of these programs have been effective and why especially veterans numbers are dropping. And like you said, it takes a village, and the county's worked with HUD
Right.
and the Department of Veterans Affairs, U.S. Department, and there have been housing vouchers that are being given to eligible homeless veterans to subsidize the cost of housing. 70 veterans were placed in housing in San Luis Obispo County over
Right.
2 years. Those are 70 lives.
70 lives, and we're in the same situation that so many places in California. High demand, high
Right.
housing prices here. It's difficult. The housing inventory is tight. We're a college town in San Luis Obispo
Right.
City, and it's hard to find houses, but a lot of people working very hard. And I can't stress enough, these are results, real results.
How do you keep the momentum going? That's the key.
Well, I'm hoping that success
Breeds,
creates
right,
more
breeds
excitement and
right.
breeds more success.
Are you
So
feeling as if this county has turned a corner on the homeless crisis?
it's still, right now, as we enter the harsher winter months, there's discussion on making sure there are warming
Right.
centers throughout the county. It's going to be an issue that I think you don't let down. But
Of course. Her name is Debbie Arnold. She is a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo County. She is running for re-election. That election will be held in June. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us on Charter Local Edition.